Tonight with Dr. Udette Sutter. Hi, Dr. Sutter.
Hi, Carrie. How are you and
I'm great.
everyone?
I'm great, and I'm so excited. I was just saying, if you caught me giggling, I'm so pleased with Dr. Suter because she is now not only one of the best holistic veterinarians in the country, the
Well,
world. I would
well,
give her what I would give her. But she's also an award-winning author now, so we get to address her in that way too. So we're just so excited. All of us love you so much, so we just want to support that part of you, which is amazing.
oh, thank you.
It's called The Inside Out, right? Do you have the
No, it's
book?
yeah, the inside effect.
Oh, The Inside. I'm sorry, The Inside Effects. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys have a chance, get it because Dr. Suter is the only veterinarian in that book that wrote in that book. So it's pretty amazing. It's for humans, but right, mostly.
Yeah, but it applies to animals just as much.
Right.
It's
I
all
think
about,
all of the health things.
yeah, exactly. I mean, everything I do, I took from the human world and translated it to the animal world. A lot of what I learned. So
Yeah.
it's not really separate. I mean,
Uh,
sure, I wouldn't want to eat raw chicken necessarily, but I have done that though. I've got a
yeah.
bunch of, yeah, I basically soaked it in lemon juice for a couple of days
Yeah.
and it turned white, just like as if you had cooked it, but it was so tender. It was really
Really.
delicious. And
It's
I'm
good.
still alive, obviously.
It's like ceviche, right? Don't Isn't that what they do with the fish? They just put it in like lemon and lime juice
It's
for
possible.
fish.
I'm not a big ceviche knowledgeable person.
Oh my gosh,
So,
I'm addicted to ceviche. I ended up in a hospital once because of ceviche because I couldn't stop eating it. And I shouldn't have been eating it. I was in
um,
Mexico and I just ate my way through Mexico on ceviche and then ended up in a Mexican hospital for a night. It's a true story.
oops.
Um,
Yeah.
so Holly, hi, welcome. Holly's on here. She says she just finished your book, but I know for a fact is talking about everything your things your vet didn't tell you. That book, she just finished it.
Oh,
So
okay, that one. I have
yeah,
it here too.
yeah, yeah,
I dug out all my books.
yeah. Holly has a beautiful cat, raw fed, and then she just got a new dog, a little
Oh,
mini
nice.
golden doodle. So she's just learning so much. So I love pet parents like Holly because she's a client of mine, but she right from the get go. You know, a lot of times I know that you think this too, right? A lot of the people, it's when their pet gets sick. But Holly started from get go. What do I do? I want my animals to be healthy.
Mm,
So she has your book and she just finished it. It's awesome.
nice.
When did you
That's
write
good.
that?
Oh, hold on. I can't remember. I think it was published in 2016. Well,
Oh
I guess
wow.
8 years ago. Wow, time flies. I mean, it's still kind of. I mean, it still applies everything.
Yeah, for sure. It
Yeah,
does. When
it's
when
like
I
a.
first when I first read it, I bought a bunch of them. I don't know if you remember this. I bought a bunch of them and I used to give them to new clients that would come in, but then it got too expensive and I couldn't do it anymore. But I was giving them to new clients
Mhm.
um, because I thought, you know what, if you're going to be a client of mine here, you might as well know right up front how I feel. Here we go. So, but
Yeah,
it's just been such a great book for all of
yeah.
us.
Yeah,
All right.
and the thing is, as much as things change in this world, and it's not the same as it used to be. There are certain things and certain principles that will never change.
Yeah.
You're always going to have a good diet. You always have to have a good gut. You also always have to make sure that communication works in the body. Hormones and nervous system. You always need to make sure that there's a little detox happening. Now you have just to do you just have to do more of it. Because we live in a polluted world. But it's like the principles of what you need to do to be healthy are still the same.
Yeah.
And when you talk to people who, well, I don't talk to them, but once in a while I watch a documentary where they interview centenarians who, live past 100 and or are close to it, and they still live a happy life. They're still in good shape. Their brain is still working. They're still mobile. It's like they're all saying the same thing, and that's what my book is about a bit. It's about what needs to happen, and it applies to everyone, and obviously it's always a little bit different for each individual. You know, that's why there's 20,000 different diets on this planet, you know, because everyone
Right.
is a little different, but the principle stays the same. And if you apply these principles, you know, in life, then you can have pretty good health.
Yeah. We have definitely lost sight of that. And
Hmm.
a lot of veterinarians, I think, have lost sight of what nutrition is, and it's just so good and refreshing to have. What I loved about that book is because I struggled for years as a groomer trying to explain this to people, and because I'm not a veterinarian, it's one of the only industries I think in the world where it's like sometimes people can say, "Oh, my doctor said this," and then they'll be like, "Yeah," and it's okay if it's not a doctor. It can be your trainer. It could be anybody else might give you some good advice, and you might take it. But in the animal world, for some reason, it's very black and white. The vet says it, and nobody else makes any more sense. It has to come from the veterinarian.
Hmm.
So it makes it really hard for people who spend a lot of time, and that's why it was so great when I learned about you, because I was like, okay, fine, don't listen to me. Here is a veterinarian. And that's when I
Me.
started reaching out because I was like,
Here,
oh, wow.
take
Yes,
that.
exactly. Here. I don't know what I'm talking about. You're right. Here, take this book because
Yeah.
it's so well written and so
Mhm.
easy to follow. So it's just, I can't say enough great stuff about your writing. That's why it's so great that you're an award winning author now. That's just so amazing. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, I love it too.
Don't stop talking to
Fun.
us. I told Dr. Suter, don't stop talking to us now that you're, you know. So tonight we're going to talk about a lot of things, and if you guys have any questions, Dr. Suter's here so she can answer. I know we run this through 2 pages, actually through 3 now. So if you have any questions, you can just kind of shoot those out, and we'll talk about them. I want to share with you guys. So we're going to be talking about the Thriving Pet Expo. We're going to announce a little bit about Dr. Suter's topic that she's going to be talking about. I want to show you guys a little something I'm working on because I said from the get go that the Thriving Pet Expo is not just about your pet's health, but about your own health. So we're working on all sorts of little concoctions. So this is the concoction that I'm testing right now, and it is parsley and turmeric and apple and honey. And when I first made it, I was like, oh no, no one's going to drink this. They're going to want their money back. But it's really good, like really, really good. Not that you
So
need to
you're
see me.
gonna bring your juicer and start
Yeah,
juicing it right then and there?
yeah. Well, no, we're going to make it the night before. So we'll have like little shots for everybody at the Thriving Pet Expo to kind of
Mhm.
test out some stuff and just some fun stuff we want to do. Maybe I should bring a juicer. That would be kind of fun too. And you could get a little full juice or whatever. But we just want to kind of talk about different, you know, Rita Hogan's going to be there. We're going to be talking about herbs and all sorts of stuff. So we wanted to give people, that's why the meals, the food, that everything that's going to be served there will be in line. Now, I don't want to scare if anybody's watching this going, you know, I was going to go, but now that you're going to make me drink green juice, I'm not going. I don't want to scare you. There'll be plenty of food for everybody for all sorts. I think last year we even had some cookies. We actually, I
Yeah.
think there was some cookies that were set out, but in general, we want to be talking about health because ultimately, you know, I tell people I have over the years, I've had people say that they want to will their dogs to me because their health is failing. And they're like, I'm just going to will the dog to you, which is fine. But I always say, you know, wouldn't it be better if you got healthy and lived for your pet? And they're always like, yeah, you know, I don't know. So you being healthy is just as important as your dog's being healthy. And so the Thriving Pet Expo is going to be all of that. But the creme de la creme, right, is to listen to you guys who have so many years of experience talking. So let's give them a little something about your topic you're going to be talking about.
Yeah, so I'm gonna talk about the one quick fix that I know in holistic medicine, because you know we always try to get a quick fix. You know, let's get a pill or a supplement or whatever to fix something, but there's one where I consistently get like instant results. I mean, not with every pet, obviously. It always depends on where they're at, but definitely with addressing the nervous system. Oftentimes they come in not feeling good and then they leave with a, you know, spring in their step and
Wow.
things have resolved. So, you know, dogs come in. not eating, feeling crummy, you know, having like bile vomiting type of thing, and they leave feeling great. Or they have a little bit of neck pain. Well, not just a little bit. They scream when you pick them up,
Oh, yeah.
kind of thing. I work on them and they leave all better.
That's
So
amazing.
I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I know that when I mentioned it to you, if I say, well, I'm going to talk about the nervous system, people are going to go, oh, shoo, glazing over. Um, but it's basically talking about communication in the body. And I know everybody knows about communication, and everybody knows what happens when communication breaks down, right?
Right.
Fight ensues, disease comes up, people feel crummy around each other, nothing gets done. Um, it's just not fun, basically.
Right. Right.
So the nervous system is one of the communication systems of the body, and if the communication system in the body works well, then everything else can work much better. So that's basically what I'm going to talk about: how we can restore communication. And with the nervous system, it's relatively easy, unless there are arthritic changes that are pushing on the spinal cord, for example. That obviously makes it a little bit more difficult to restore, because if there's something that's just clamping down on it, there's only so much you can do. But in many cases, you can basically just realign things, get the nervous system to communicate, and the nerves to basically transmit the information to wherever it goes, and then that area works better.
It's going
So
to be such a great.
it's genius.
So, first off, I hardly ever hear anybody talking about this, right? We hear so much about allergies, and we hear so much about sickness and illness and supplements we can take and things we can take. I don't think and I'm on here a lot in all sorts of groups and things. I don't think I hear anybody really talking about the nervous system at all.
Well, most people don't know much about it.
I don't know much about
Even if you go to a chiropractor, I remember my dad was here a few years ago, and he had some pain somewhere, and so we went to the chiropractor with him, and I started talking to the chiropractor about the nervous system, and he had no clue. I'm like, you're working with the nervous system.
it. Wow.
You're not just cracking bones. You're actually working with the nervous system, and you know nothing about it.
Ugh,
That was kind of scary, and
that's scary.
unfortunately that's the case. I mean, that's how chiropractors are taught. That's also how veterinary chiropractors are taught in certain schools. It depends a little bit on which school you go to, and I was very lucky to be taught by some amazing people who put a lot of importance on the nervous system and understanding the nervous system, because then it's like, you're just kind of playing the body, kind of like a guitar. You just
Yeah.
play it, and you can make beautiful music, and that's what's really amazing. And the word nervous system is really my first go-to. If I don't know what to do, that's where I start. If I'm not sure if something is easier to fix or maybe harder or needs more diagnostics, I start with fixing the nervous system and or optimizing it as much as I can. And then if they don't get better, then I know I have to dig in deeper. But if they get better, then well, that's it. Then they don't need a bunch of supplements. They don't
It's
need a
just lack
bunch
of
of things.
communication.
You know. Sorry.
Because the communication isn't happening. It's just like at work when I'm managing people, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
almost always a communication problem. I mean, I
Right.
know but it always comes. We just had an incident the other day, and all it was a communication problem. I didn't need to get anybody in trouble. I didn't need to do, and I think about it that way when you talk about the nervous system being communication. Like, we could be addressing all of this stuff, right? Like giving
Mm-hmm.
them supplements or medications or doing all this stuff. And maybe we just need to open up the communication. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to hear your talk. It's
Yeah.
going to be, it's really, really going to be, I think, eye opening for a lot of people. I know just hearing you say it, I'm like, oh my God. We know that the gut and the brain communicate, but if the nervous system isn't working, then how are they going to communicate? And everybody has to communicate.
Yeah. I'm
Like,
just going to give one example because I don't want to take it away completely. But just recently, I had a patient came in. Well, he's one of my patients too, but he came with his brother who was getting some support. And I noticed that he was having some difficulty getting up. Um, and usually he's fine with that. And so I asked, well, what's going on with him? And she said, well, I'm going to build him some stairs. He can't get on the bed. I'm like, okay, there's a few steps that we can take before we actually have to build stairs. I mean, if you want to
right.
build stairs, go ahead, but let me just have a look at him. And I did some chiropractic work on him, and lo and behold, he was completely perfectly able to get back on the bed without a problem. And the stairs were still built, but he's not liking them. So
Yeah.
but that's like the most typical thing I hear. Oh, my dog can't get back up on the bed. What can I do? Either it's, well, make stairs or get a what supplement can I use? I'm like, what about restoring nerve function? How about restoring nerve input into the hind end so that it can be stronger again?
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's so simple, but
Yeah.
it's so basic, but most people have no clue about that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big issues in veterinary medicine and general medicine as well. It's like we overcomplicate things. Instead of trying to figure out, well, what does the body need and what is interfering with the body. If instead of asking that, we go right to the treatment. What can I use? What supplement can I use? What this or that can I do to and it's just a bunch of chatter, you know and
Yeah.
I hate chatter. If somebody starts talking for, and well, some people I know, not you, but other
Oh no,
people.
I'm a big I you can say it. When I was a little girl, my dad had
Mhm.
nicknames for all of us, and I kid you not, you can ask my dad. It's not a nice one, but my dad named me Mouth. And I
Oh,
asked him, I know. I love my dad. It's fine. It was the 80s. We weren't we didn't grow up. It was just different. There was
yeah.
no feelings involved in being brought up as in the 80s, but I asked him one time, I'm like, "Why did you name me Mouth?" And he goes, "Carrie, I would come home from work and I couldn't even get in the door before you would be attached to my leg and telling me everything." I do talk a lot. I don't care. I just do.
That's fine. It works well because some of us, who don't talk a lot, it's nice when other people talk.
Oh, I'm a big mouth. That's why I was on the speech team in college, for God's sake. It made sense, right?
Yeah.
Like who, yeah, I talk a lot. I should
But
listen.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not a good storyteller. If I have to
I
tell a story, I
disagree.
go right to the point. I start this, that, and then I go right to the end of it. I
Yeah.
don't embellish. I don't have that
Yeah.
ability, and that's how I practice medicine as well. I
Just
go
go
right to the
straight to
point.
the
I'm
cause.
like, this is too much waste of my time. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go right to, you
The
know,
cause.
the
Yeah.
cause and right to the point and figure it out. The rest of it is just, to me, it's just a waste of time, a waste of energy, a waste of money, a waste of everything. And I remember in physics we learned about the minimum and maximum principle. Minimum
Mhm.
effort for maximum benefit or
Right.
results. That's me.
Yeah.
That's just totally me. So
No, I think that in medicine, we could use a lot more of that. Just get straight to the point, because
yeah.
I think when we go all the way around, like you're talking about the chatter a lot of times makes the situation worse. And so
Hmm.
now what you could have resolved if you had somebody that goes straight to the point and said, "Well, we could try this or we could try that. We could do this, we could do that." It is such a disservice to the animal. So my husband, I can't, like, he's going to love you. He's always telling me to get to the point. Just he takes a deep breath and he says, "Can you get to the point?" And I'm like, "Well, wait, I think you need to know this part first." So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank God there's a whole bunch of us out there. There was a question I wanted to address. What do you think about mold and dogs? Like, can they be affected by it? And how are they affected by it? And what do you think can be done?
Yeah, mold is a bit challenging, definitely. Mold can be quite, yeah. I don't have a ton of experience with it, but my sister is very sensitive to mold, so I know what she's gone through. But I think with mold, obviously you have to take them out of the mold. You know, you can't heal if you're still in the mold. Um, but then it's really about rebuilding the foundation so that they can just handle things better.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
there,
Do you know?
at least in humans, there are some people who just don't detox mold toxins very well, whereas other people can detox them much better. So that's how some people are much more affected by mold than others.
Yeah. Are there? I think she had asked. I should scroll back down. I think she had asked if. I don't know where it was. Sorry, it was there. Um, I lost it. It's. I think she asked if there were any symptoms that you would be aware of.
Oh, is there a specific test for it?
Or yeah,
Um,
yeah. Is there a test for it? That's what she asked.
yeah, I know there are some urine tests that you can do, but I don't think they're 100% accurate either. I think mold testing can be a bit of a challenge that way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I'm not a mold expert by any means, so.
Yeah. I would imagine definitely that it could be toxic. I wouldn't. You know what?
Oh yes, yeah.
I bet there's a Facebook group on mold in dogs, and they would probably know a little bit more about the symptoms. I've never. I shouldn't say I've never seen the symptoms because I wouldn't know if those symptoms were related to mold. But I certainly have never had a client tell me that their dog was reacting and they found out that there was mold in the system. So I couldn't even help either. And I'm not a vet anyway. But
Mhm. Yeah, I've had
anyway,
a couple of patients, but I passed them along to one of my colleagues who has herself dealt with mold. So I felt that she was just a better person to take
yeah,
care of these dogs than I was,
yeah.
because of her experience with it.
I
But
know.
one thing that I know is that if you have a lot of electromagnetic radiation going on and you have mold in your house, it will make the mold toxins more toxic, and it will also, the mold will produce much more toxins as well. So
Oh,
not
yeah,
only will you have a much higher load of toxins, but it will also be a much more toxic sort of toxin from that mold, because EMFs are threatening to mold, basically.
yeah.
So because the mold obviously doesn't want to die in that environment, it will just try to, survive by using its survival mechanisms of, putting out some toxins and more of it. So if you do have mold, and if you have any real chronic disease like chronic Lyme, chronic autoimmune conditions, and things like that, you have to, remediate the house and eliminate as much of the EMFs as you can. Some
Huh.
doctors, like Dr. Klinghardt, for example, he's a big Lyme expert, deals with a lot of people who have a lot of chronic issues, including mold as well. And he doesn't even take patients who don't remedy the house and remove the electromagnetic radiation, because he says they can't heal.
Oh, wow. What's
Yeah.
his name?
Dietrich Klinghardt.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Maybe Lori can put that in. There are a couple of questions. Kelly wants to know what you can do for really bad staph in her skin when we're exposed to mold. My dog had a really bad staph infection in her skin when we were exposed to mold. Oh, I don't think it was a question. Sorry.
Oh,
I have
okay.
the wrong glasses on and I'm having trouble reading. I
Yeah.
thought I grabbed the one. Hi, Dee.
Well, I mean, again, you have to make sure that you fix the foundation. The more you can fix the foundation, yeah, fecal transplant pills fixed it. I
Fix
can see
it.
how that would work. You have to address, well, what I call the seven pillars of health. Food. You have to give them a diet that's as clean as possible, as natural as possible, and raw would always be good, but some animals do need to lightly cooked, so it depends a little bit on the animal. Um, you have to fix the gut. because that's where inflammation originates. All diseases start in the gut, and that's not something new. Hippocrates 400 BC already knew that, but we're just kind of starting to really see it. And
We got to go back.
yeah, so
Right.
that, and then you have to, once you have the GI tract and oh yeah, thanks, Lori, Clean Heart Institute. And I think his clinic in the States is called Sophia Institute or something.
Hmm.
It's out in Oregon, I believe. Um,
I was
anyways,
thinking about
so,
that in some of the states where it rains all the time. It must be really hard to keep mold, when you're getting all that rain and it's humid and like the
mm,
humid states. I'm like, wow. I mean, it would be really hard. Like I have a grooming business, so we have an area where it's wet all the time, and I have to
mm,
run fans all night long just to make sure we don't have
mm,
any mold that grows in there.
mm.
But I was thinking, God, if I lived in like a wet part of the country, Dr. Suter's in Chicago. It's not. You guys don't get too much rain.
Well, there can be mold in everywhere. There's
Yeah.
also something called dry mold, and then
Oh.
there's also mold that can come from the sewer.
Oh wow.
So yeah, there can be mold everywhere, but obviously areas such as Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, like the more humid type of areas are definitely more prone to having mold. But as soon as you have some leakage somewhere, you're going to have mold in the house, and oftentimes it's hidden between the wall, the inside wall and the outside wall, so you can have mold and you don't even know it's there because you can't see it.
Dang.
Uh, so yeah, mold is very prevalent, actually, much more than you think. So it's possible
Well,
that you have mold too in
I don't
your.
even know what I'm talking about. I'm so stupid because my mom had mold and she lives in Arizona. And it was because they had a little leak on the roof for something they had up there, and it leaked down in. And then, yeah, we had to do so much to that house. It was crazy. I
Mhm.
forgot about that. Um, is
Yeah.
castor oil, do you think castor oil is safe to use in the eyes for dry eye?
I've never used castor oil, but I know you can put fish oil into the eyes to help. Um,
I had
but there
no
are also eye ointments that can be used.
I had no idea you could. I never would have even thought about putting fish oil in the eye. That's interesting.
Um,
I mean, it makes sense, but
I mean,
also,
I've never tried it for myself because I
yeah.
don't want to smell like fish.
I was just gonna say, I had a client one time. She was giving so much fish oil to this little Shih Tzu of hers.
Mhm.
It was all in his muzzle
Mm,
constantly. This dog, he
mm,
got bathed. She brought him in all the time for bathing him because she's like, he just keeps smelling, and I'm like, it's the fish oil. It's everywhere. Like, it was so gross. This dog
you just have
constantly.
to shave off the hair, and then that way it's easier to clean.
I swear. And then I would like clean it and clean it and clean it and clean it, and I could still blow dry him, and then I'd be like, oh, I could still. It's just it was
Mm,
so embedded into him. So
mhm.
I would say if you're gonna put fish oil in the eye, can you imagine? Like it's just gonna drip out, and yeah,
Well, I mean, it depends on how much you put in. I mean, if you put a drop in there, it's not gonna leak as much. But
true,
yeah.
true. But what causes dry? I mean, I know that they're not producing tears, but do you
Mm.
know, like, if we dig further, what causes that?
Well, that brings me back to the nervous system. Who innervates the tear glands, the tear producing, well, the
Right.
glands and some other parts. It's the nerves as well. So it can also be neurologic, dry eye. But there's also autoimmune disease that can cause dry eye. There are certain drugs that can cause dry eye. If I remember correctly, sulfa drugs can cause dry eye. But definitely the nervous system again, and sometimes just fixing the nervous system can take care of that. I remember maybe a couple of years back or so, I had a little bit of dry eye in one of my eyes only. And I asked my chiropractor to take a look, and he fixed a little something to create better innervation to the tear glands, and that was the end of it.
That's what I love about a really holistic veterinarian because that's like a lot of vets I know say that they're going for they think they know what the cause is. The cause is your
Mhm.
dog's not producing tears, right?
Mhm.
That's what they say. But a
Yeah.
holistic vet will go, no, why aren't you causing tears or creating
Yeah.
tears?
Right.
That
Exactly.
like you have to keep going and going and going and going, right? Until you get to the
Mhm.
actual root of the cause. But that
Yeah.
always that always frustrates me when people think, "Oh, I have him on this drug because he's not producing tears, or I have him on this because of that," and they haven't really gotten to the root of it. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, autoimmune disease. That I,
Mhm.
another drug, all of that can possibly. That's awesome.
Mhm. And
Um,
dementia patients get dry eye. I don't see that. I
huh?
don't think so. I wouldn't just give that as a blanket statement because, again, you have to figure out why. You know, is
Huh?
it just, are they not blinking because their brain isn't working as well? Is there some nerve that should be better innervating the tear ducts that is a little bit, compromised? There are, a lot of different things that can be the root. It's not dementia
Right.
necessarily. So I wouldn't just put that. I don't like blanket statements,
Yeah.
basically, because if you do that, then there's no other option or no other possibility. I find it's very important to stay open, and I'm very often, I tell people, I don't know what's going on with your dog. I don't know, because in that not knowing, that's where I can find answers. Because then I'm open
Yeah.
rather than saying, "Oh, this is what it is," and then I'm just kind of going that way, and it's something completely different, and I completely miss it. I mean, I may still miss it because
Right.
obviously I'm only human, but you have to just be open to all possibilities, and that's what we learn in vet school too. You have to go through your list of differentials. Is it inflammation? Is it autoimmune? Is it traumatic? Is it there are a bunch of different things. Is it inflammatory? Is it infectious? Is it genetic? Um, so you have to figure out
Well, it's
what
interesting that you
it
say
is.
that. I had a client years ago, and he had a puppy basset hound. And he took the basset hound to the vet, and he told the veterinarian he has all these bumps down his back. That's what he told the vet. But so the vet accepted that as being bumps down the back. It was just
Mhm.
he shouldn't have, but so he told the owner, "Oh, well he ran his hand down the back of the basset hound and they all agreed that these were bumps on the back." And the veterinarian said, "Well, he probably got stung by a bunch of bees." And so he
Mhm.
gave him an anti-inflammatory and an antihistamine. I don't know. It ended up costing the guy like $300. And then he called me and he brought little Frankie into me and he said, showed me everything.
Little, you talk
Well,
about basset hound.
he was a basset hound, but he was like a little, like he was like 7 or 8 months old. So yeah, he was full
Oh,
grown. But so he
these things are
brings
huge, really.
Frankie the basset hound to me with his big old ears, and he's like, "Yeah, it's just the weirdest thing. I don't know where he would have gotten stung by all these bees." And I said, "Let me look at this dog." This is the next day. This dog did not have bumps down his back. He did not get stung by any bees. And what planet does a bunch of bees sting a dog just on his back? I don't know. Bottom line is, what it ended up being was that the dog, his hair, he was starting to get his adult hair. And so he was getting these weird waves of hair. It was just hair. If you would have pulled that hair all the way back, you would have seen there was no stings. There was nothing red. There was nothing. My point to all of that is you have to be open. If Joey hadn't gone in, oops, sorry, I just said his name, but it's okay. We talk about this all the time. If he hadn't gone into that vet and told him, right? If he would have just said nothing and said, I don't know, I'm here, I think there's something wrong with my dog's back, maybe we would have been open to more possibilities. But when you do that, when you do the cut and dry, this is what it is, it
Mm.
not only hindered the vet from making the right decision, but it also made Joey accept that that's what it was. And all the
But
while,
yeah,
he ended up with medications he didn't know.
right. But in the defense of the vet, when you see something a day later, it may have looked very different the day before.
Yeah, I don't, you're right.
So,
I don't know that, but I can tell you this, those bumps were on this dog his entire life.
mm,
They never
yeah.
went away.
Yeah.
because it wasn't bumps, it was hair. It was
Just
just
wait.
waved. Yeah, he just had this really
He's
unique
trying to
little.
get curly hair.
He may have been trying to get some curly hair, but Frankie had those down his back the whole rest of his
Yeah.
life. It was just this
Yeah.
weird
Mm.
whatever. Anyway,
Mm.
but I think you have to. You're right, and I have a cat right now that the vet told her the cat might have kidney disease. I'm going to give you. I think there was some money. So in fairness to the vet, I don't think that there was enough money to be spent on the kitty to do a lot of diagnostics. So he said to her, here's some prescription diet. If this doesn't help, then it's cancer. It was either kidney disease or cancer. There was nothing in between, which really, so I thought was sad to not
Mm.
give this kitty a little bit of a, be open-minded to it. Could be any number of things. So, but anyway,
Well, that's why I like
your
to
point.
get medical records, because
Yeah,
that way I can see what the veterinarian was thinking and what the veterinarian saw, because it's difficult to just take the word of the pet parent, because the problem is that when you have an animal and you're going to the vet, you're stressed out because you're worried and you're more in a sympathetic fight or flight sort of mode, and your brain is not going to take in everything that your vet says. So that's why I like to see actual medical records, and I'm not talking about discharge notes, I'm talking about actual medical records, so that I can see what was done, what the vet thought, and that can, give me a lot of information and help that person better, because then I know what the other vet was thinking. So
right.
who knows? It's very possible that that owner only heard kidney disease and cancer, but totally missed the entire conversation that was happening in between.
To be
Because
fair, yeah, for sure.
yeah, because
Yeah,
people, it's normal. You're worried about your animal, and part of the brain just sort of turns off because
right.
you're in worry mode. So it's
Panic.
yeah, yeah. And it's not, no judgment of the pet parent and no judgment of the veterinarian. It's just what is, and as veterinarians, we have to be conscious of that. And that's why we write discharge notes as well, so that we can reiterate what we said, so that, the pet parent can understand and have something to read once they get home. And
Right.
once they have a little bit of time to relax and kind of, you know, get back into, yeah, more thinking mode, because we humans, we have a survival mode, and when it comes to our animals, we tend to go into survival mode very quickly because we love them so much, and we're
Sure. Sure.
dependent on them, on their love and everything, and so it's easy to just go right into panic.
No, for sure. For sure. I've seen it too where pet parents will, I hate that they do that, some pet parents will do this, but they will think something so strongly and they believe it so strongly that they actually tell me that the vet told them that. And
Mhm.
I've called a couple veterinarians before and said, "Did you did you say
Mm.
this? Cuz this doesn't make sense." I had a client one time tell me that the vet told her that her dog wasn't overweight. This was a 180-pound golden retriever that
Oops,
couldn't
yeah.
walk.
Mhm.
He could not walk. He literally could, like, she would get him out of the car, and then we'd always have to help, and then he would just he couldn't walk. And so I kept telling her that, we had to do something for him. He was only 4 years old, and she just kept insisting that the vet said it wasn't fat and or overweight. And so I called the vet, and he pulled out the records, and he was like, "Oh God, no." His colleagues and himself had told her that the dog was overweight, and she
Mhm.
declined anything. So I know, to your point, like, we do have to be careful with taking everything at face value and understanding what people are saying and that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
because it can be frustrating on both sides. So
Yeah, and there's always three sides to every story.
for sure, for
That one
sure,
and that one and then another one.
yeah, and probably another and another and another. It could
Yeah,
go on forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the truth of today is going to be tomorrow's lie as well. So
Ooh.
what we know today is not going to be accurate, tomorrow. For example, the Earth is flat. Well, it
Yeah.
took a while for it to sink in that Earth isn't flat. Well, apparently there's still some belief out,
There
but
are still some people
yeah, I'm not
who
going to
yeah,
go there. But
yeah, I
same
know,
with
but you're right.
yeah,
Yeah.
same with microbes. You know, we went on a killing spree when we discovered that microbes can cause disease. We went on a killing spree, and now we're realizing, shit, we killed 50% of all microbes,
Yep.
and now we're in big trouble because we
Big
don't
trouble.
have the diversity that we used to. So, um, yeah, we don't know. I mean, the thing is, we really have no clue. We know
No.
this much, and there's so much more that we don't know that we don't know. So, we just need to stay open. And it's nice, Dee, that you're getting a copy of all records for your dogs. It's really good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, to
keeping
get
a diary is really important too, because one of the things as a veterinarian that drives me a little crazy is that the timeline tends to get a little muddled when it comes to history. And timeline is extremely important. So when I ask someone, okay, so did whatever symptoms start before or after you did that? They're like, oh, I don't remember. Well, that's
yeah,
important, you
very
know.
important.
So keep a diary because you're not going to remember things. I mean, I don't remember things from yesterday, so I keep a
Yeah.
diary for my own health as well, and what I did and what I changed. And so keep a diary. It doesn't have to be long, just a couple words or something. So keep a diary, and you know, Chris, you know, you mentioned that it'd be nice to know what. Okay, sorry, the question disappeared on me.
Said we need pet parents guide. I was going to
Oh yeah.
mention that because that's one of
Hmm.
that you would be surprised. Hopefully you can make it to the pet expo. That is what we're doing is preparing pet parents in this expo is a lot. We even have Julianne Lee is working on Are You Vet Ready handouts that we're going to be giving out that are like if
Hmm.
Dr. Suter, for example, is talking about the nervous system and she teaches you all you need to know about the nervous system at the expo, and then you leave the expo prepared and ready, right? I learned this. Dr. Suter told me this. I understand it. Then you walk into your vet office and you just kind of stand there not sure how to communicate, right? What do I say to my vet? What do I do? And that we are actually covering. So
Hmm.
all of that is going to be at the pet expo so that we can not only educate you by the fabulous veterinarians like Dr. Suter that are going to be there, but also we're going to be doing some really kind of awesome little side things to get you guys vet ready. And
Hmm.
there'll be lots of handouts so that you'll be able to go to your vet after listening to Dr. Suter and say, you know, I want to talk about the nervous system and how to communicate that in ways that you won't offend your vet, because we can't do that. We can't,
Hmm.
you know, not everybody can go to Dr. Suter. We wish, right? Just,
Yeah, and unfortunately, there are not as many people who do work with the nervous system the way I was taught.
yeah.
I wish there were a lot more. But to go back, I think there was one person, I think it was Dee, who said it was only one eye. That's usually nerves. That usually is not autoimmune. That's usually neurologic. So, and by neurologic, I mean it doesn't mean it can't be fixed. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's only one eye.
definitely that, yeah, that would be highly suspicious for that. So that's where I would start. Because again, you can save so much money. Again, I'm just into
Right.
minimum investment for maximum benefit, and playing with the nervous system is one of them.
It'd be great if you could, because imagine how much money is spent on eye drops. And what is I can't remember the name of the um, eye drop they give for dry eye that's supposed to help. It's like Restasis or something.
Oh, yeah, so it's cyclosporine.
Cyclosporine, yeah, yeah, that they give to help. I don't even, that's like forcing the body to produce its own tears or something.
Well, it's an anti-autoimmune drug, basically. It's an immunosuppressant.
Oh, great. Great.
So,
So Christine asked, she says, her dog just had Well, she says boy, so I'm going to assume it's a dog. In late April, had to have surgery. He was very ill and had his spleen removed. I'm doing a few supplements to support his immune system, also with diet. He is in good health at the moment. Stools are great, energy good, appetite normal, and he's had no skin issues right now. What can you suggest for support of having no spleen?
Um, uh, well, yeah, supporting the immune system basically, because the spleen is a part of the immune system. So mushrooms can be very helpful. And I guess I'd want to know why the spleen had to be removed. Was it hemangiosarcoma? If it is, there are definitely mushrooms, and there are hemangiosarcoma formulas, herbal formulas that can be used as well to help with that. So again, why? You know,
Yeah,
why was it removed? What happened? Um, it's not a simple question with that would give simple answers, basically.
I gotta say, I
So.
wish I knew what I know now for my own health because quite a few years ago, I had my gallbladder removed, and I just don't think I would have done that again. I don't know. I mean, back then, that's all I knew, and I was in a lot of pain. They got me, I mean, I was in excruciating pain. And they just said, "Oh, well, you have to remove your gallbladder." And I said, "Okay, sign me up." And there I
Mhm.
was without I Oh, I'm so mad at myself for not asking the right questions. Actually, I did ask one question to the surgeon. I said, "Is there any other option?" And he said, "You could die." And so I opted for the surgery. Um,
Well, I mean, again, it depends on how it is.
sure.
If you have a little stone, like a little gallstone that's stuck in your duct, in your bile duct, the duct might rupture, and then you have all the bile floating in your abdomen. That's not ideal
Yeah.
because bile is supposed to help with digestion. So you don't want to have that free floating. So in your case, that may have been the only option.
Yeah, I didn't. They said I didn't have
So,
stones. They said I had gallbladder disease, but
um,
and I may have ultimately gotten to that point, but now I know better
mhm,
to ask why.
mhm,
Like, I should have dug a lot further. And my point,
mhm,
I mean, I know the spleen has already been removed, but to your point also, like, why did we remove the spleen? What was going on? Because
mhm,
something
mhm.
else, now the spleen is gone. What else that's what I'm always worried about. Great. My gallbladder's now, I have no appendix, no gallbladder. I'm like, no tonsils. I'm like, like have no, by the time I die, I won't even know how I'm even surviving because I'll be left with just a heart, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, you're missing some parts.
I'm missing a few parts. I know,
You're incomplete. You're incomplete.
I know. And the funny thing is that when they removed my appendix, apparently they didn't remove all of it. So when they went in to remove my gallbladder, they noticed that there was still some of my appendix. So they took it. They were like, well, while we were in there, I was like, is that legal? Can you do that? Can you just decide to take another part of some? I don't know. Anyway, I got off topic.
Well, I mean that's what we do with spaying and neutering. We
I
just
know.
remove things, and then a few years later we realize, oh, maybe that wasn't the best idea.
Oh, I know.
Now we have a lot more dogs with aggression, with fear, with
Anxiety.
other behavior issues, thyroid, weight gain, incontinence, more injuries, more IBD, more whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
The list goes
So
on and on. So,
Dee is talking about the Thriving Pet Expo, and she really wants to go, but she's trying to cut
mhm,
costs down. So she's looking for anybody who, if you haven't joined the Thriving Pet Expo Facebook group, that's where we're going to be starting to put this stuff out. We're going to start getting people who want to share costs, those kind of things. So we can definitely help you with it, Dee. I already have a few ideas that I can bat around for you, and then we can talk about it. But for any of you guys, if you are thinking about going to expo and you know that it can be really costly, don't let that stand in your way because we have so many people that are involved in this now. We can help a lot. There's a lot of people that want to share hotel rooms. There's even been some talk with a few people getting an Airbnb and having a big house and having a few people stay in there, and that might be even cheaper. So there's all sorts of stuff that can happen. We can get you guys there. Just let us know what's standing in your way. I mean, I can't guarantee. I'm not I don't think I can pay for airline tickets, that kind of thing. But we can definitely, give you guys some really great ideas and options. So Dee, we're gonna get you there. We're gonna get you
Mm-hmm.
there. You're gonna love it. This expo, there's so much going on at this expo, and I just found out that Apple the Golden is going to be at the expo. So if you haven't met a famous dog in your lifetime, Apple is very famous. Has been on lots of famous magazine covers, and Apple's going to be there. So, which is funny because I posted, if you guys saw, I posted Apple the Golden and Billy Hookman were in my store at the same time. And I love Billy. I have been a Billy fan for I like way back, way back, and I just love him. But then Apple showed up, and I just like forgot about Billy. Like, I'm sorry, Billy. Like, I took pictures. My staff, and I all took pictures with Apple the Golden, and then when Billy left, I was like, I did not get one picture with Billy. Not one.
Oh,
Not one.
well, you have your priorities straight.
I was like, Apple's mom took one of me and Billy, but I don't have any pictures with Billy in my phone, but I have lots of pictures of Apple. I'm like, oh, that's what happens when you go into a dog lover's store. I gravitate to the dogs. So, but anyway, Apple.
So they allow dogs at the
So
hotel? I thought they
Apple
didn't
is a
because I
service
have a
dog.
client. Oh, I see.
So that's the only dog that is able to go. I think we had 5 or 6 service dogs. So that's a good point. Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. Before I know it, we're going to have all these dogs showing up. So, um, oh my God, I would be.
Well, then they would just have to change their policy. I mean, come
I
on,
know.
really?
If you get enough people, right? You just have to get enough
Yeah.
people, and they will
Yeah.
back it.
Last year, I was trying to get one of my California people to bring her dog, but she couldn't because of
Yeah,
the hotel
yeah.
situation.
The
It was
Hyatt's
going to
pretty
work.
strict. So, and it's really
Mm.
sad, but
Well,
also.
not just the Hyatt, it's other places as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
understand it because not every. The thing is that most of us pet people that are this
Mm.
conscientious about our pets' health and our pets' well-being, we're going to take very good care of our animals. But some people just don't. They let them pee and poop everywhere, and they
Mm.
chew up things, and it makes it really hard for the rest of us. But Apple.
Maybe
Oh, I thought you were waving
it,
like, yeah, me. I let my dog pee and poop everywhere.
well, I don't have one, so that takes care of that. But no, Dee is leaving.
Oh, Dee's leaving. Okay,
So yeah,
so
sleep well.
I'm so bad at
I hope
this.
to see you in California. Yeah, in California. I was going to say
We'll
Florida.
get we'll get her there. She's been wanting to go, so she's been talking
Mhm.
about it. So we'll get her there. Oh yeah, she is leaving. So what time is
Mhm.
it? Oh yeah, we're coming up on our 1 hour. So before we let you go, what do you think is the best thing about going to? Because everybody talks about how you can get some of this information online. You can this and people are kind of not wanting to go out to these live places anymore. So what do you think? Like I love meeting people and being face to face with them.
Yeah, I think just the camaraderie, the meeting people, the love. I mean, last year was just out of this world. I mean, I was so recharged after having been there with all these lovely people who just shared freely, and everybody was happy and joyful, and it was just really amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but the best event I've ever been to, really.
Uh, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
it
the food was
the word
great. There were windows on the side, so you were not locked in a room that was just cold and you didn't know what time of day it was. And the pavilion where the vendors were and the food was really
isn't that a
beautiful.
beautiful
Yeah,
setting? That that
yeah.
setting with the windows is just I don't know, it's just so beautiful. I
Hmm.
don't, at the time of year, that's why we picked that time of year because it's just perfect temperature last year,
Hmm.
and the windows they're open. They're like, and
Hmm.
I don't know. I agree with you. The energy and the
Hmm.
recharging, like you said, the recharging was because it can it's hard to keep going and to keep going and I don't know, but the recharging, that's how I felt when we were in Chicago, where I met you in Chicago. It was just like I called it a meeting. It was like a meeting for me. I got to go where all these people understood that we weren't crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, and you don't get the same online. It's
No,
not the same. It's just
It's not
really
the
not, because you
same.
can't get any hugs. You know,
No. Yeah.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the same at all.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's like I wouldn't want to miss it. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be speaking, so like I better show up.
Yeah, you better show up. Dr. Suter is like, I didn't get the pleasure of seeing you speak in Chicago.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't.
you didn't? That's probably why
No.
I didn't see you speak. So
Yeah.
I thought maybe I missed it. I didn't know, but I was like, I didn't see you speak in Chicago, but I met Dr. Suter in Chicago 6, 7 years ago.
Mhm.
And I just fell in love with you then and knew if I ever did one of these events, I would want you to speak. But I hadn't actually ever seen you speak. So I didn't know last year. I knew what I know about you.
You had heard me in some
Yeah,
other.
I mean, I had heard,
We've
but
done
I had never.
interviews together before.
Yeah, we've done interviews, but
Yeah.
I don't know. For all I know, you were going to get up there and have stage fright and like run. Who knows? I don't know. But I
No,
just,
I mean, I get a little nervous. I mean, that's
you would not
normal
know.
though.
You would not know. And I have to tell you guys, like Dr. Suter, wait till you hear her speak. She's funny. She's, it's amazing. I remember I told you after, I was like, you're funny. Like she just,
Yeah, no,
it
and
was
I'm like,
really good.
what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I didn't know, and I love to watch people talk, and I used to coach speech and debate, and so
Mhm.
I'm like, wow, she's really just just such a lovely job. I cannot wait to see this topic,
Thank you.
and I'm
Thank
just
you.
so
That meant
excited
a lot to me, by the way. I haven't forgotten that you said that. I'm like,
because I
no,
was so
no, I've got to
impressed.
be funny. And I'm like, yeah, I hope I'm not going to try to be funny, because trying to be funny is not the same as being funny.
Trying to be funny is it never goes over well. Like
No, it doesn't.
it has to be a very natural a
Mhm.
very natural thing, and it
Mhm.
was for you. I mean, it was just your timing. You have really good timing. Not a lot of
Mhm.
people have that right timing, and so that's why their jokes don't usually go off well, because their timing is off. um, that stand-up comedians, go listen to stand-up comedians talk, and
Mhm.
they will look at the joke and then they write the joke down, and when the joke didn't go well, they know it's because of timing. It's the exact same. They'll steal their jokes,
Mhm.
but they just change the timing on it. It's a word for word the same, but they just change the timing on it, and now the joke's super funny. Yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway, your
Yeah.
timing is amazing. Your content last year was awesome. This year is going to be. I'm very interested in this topic because it's not one that we hear. A lot of the topics this year are just topics you just don't. I haven't heard in any of the summits, any of the online stuff. They're just very unique.
Well, I've done a couple of those actually in what was it, Katie Woodley's summit, the GI summit, and then the senior summit that
Yeah.
Dr. Ava Frick did. I
Yeah.
talked about the nervous system.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So it's out there, but it's just not
yeah, but
something that.
not very much, and it's
Yeah.
not talked about much, and you know,
Yeah.
yeah. But I'll make all of you guys think,
That's
because the
important.
thing is, one of the biggest issues I have is that logic has kind of gone out the window when it comes to healthcare.
Sure.
And even in the holistic field, it's like people just think about what supplement can I use. I'm like, well, there's a whole lot more. Why, and
Right.
connecting the dots. So I'm going to do that. And I hope I'm going to manage to get people to engage people to think, because and have some participation happening so that we can do that. But I'll have to see how it works. I'm sure
It's
it'll
going to be
just be how
amazing.
it is. But yeah.
I think that's the engagement part of it is so
Mhm.
important because it's longer lasting, right? That's
Mhm.
why it's so important for me to do these live. They're so important for me to do them live because after one of the especially now that it's a 2 day, like even better, right? Because everything you hear on Saturday, and then you can show up Sunday and still have questions and still be like, okay, what about this or what about that? And you have the whole day, you have the lunch breaks and the bathroom breaks and all of that stuff to kind of talk to the people at the table. The tables are the half moons, right? So you actually are
Mhm.
engaging with people at your own table. It's not just set up in that row, right? And those lines where you can't talk to people. So it's just I'm so excited about it. I
Mhm.
can't wait, and I
Yeah,
can't wait
me
to
too.
see.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
it's gonna be fun. So
Seeing everybody, and a lot of us, we know each other from Facebook. We've seen the names, but we don't know what face goes with it. So it's
yeah,
always nice, like, oh yeah, I've seen you on Facebook or
yeah,
Instagram. Well, Instagram is even worse because you can never tell who is behind their name. It's like, why can't
really.
you put your name? Well, haven't you noticed that? It's
I
like,
don't go on
there's
Instagram. I am.
no,
I am. I
I
Lori
never
thinks.
know who it is.
Yeah, I'm really bad with social media because I just didn't want to be involved in like another platform because it gets to be a little overwhelming for me. So I just kind of do these lives and try to help people, educate them as much as I can in my little tiny world that I'm in. Um,
Mm,
so, but yeah, Instagram, people start talking to me about Instagram. I'm all, what? I have an Instagram. Lori kind of will post stuff there for me, but I try to not go on
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So
But in
I don't
any
know.
case, it'll be fun, and
Yeah.
it's right next to the airport. The food is great. People are great. It's just, I mean, it was just like one big family, and everyone was getting along, and it was just amazing. You were great. I mean, you cared so. I mean, your love was shining through the entire time. The amount of passion that you have, and the amount of care, and how you wanted to make everyone feel really comfortable and have everything that they needed, and all that. It just
Oh,
was
thanks.
amazing. You were amazing, and Lori, and
Lori.
your whole team who was behind creating all of that. I mean, I mean, so amazing. It's like,
Ah, thanks.
I think I said I want to come back next year or something, and so here I am coming.
I'm so thankful that
You
you're
have to
coming
put me
back.
on the list, so you can't not have me.
Oh no. Well, somebody had written somewhere I saw they said we need to do one in Florida, and then I think you tagged me in it,
Hmm.
and Lori and I have always talked about it. It's just finding other people to help sponsor because they're that's
Yeah, that's the
the
problem. It's
downside
expensive.
to doing these is that and doing them this way, doing them the way that I want to do it with the good food and the
Hmm.
nice hotel and the beautiful venue for the sponsors and all that stuff. It's a lot more costly to do it that way. So to have to travel, although I would totally do it if somebody wants to like
Hmm.
co-sponsor it and be, half and half kind of thing, I would do it. But it can get really, really costly with all of the hotels and stuff. So and Newport Beach isn't exactly,
Yeah, and
willing
that's
to
why we need to get people to sell, buy the tickets. So please
yeah,
share with all of your friends and family, and especially the people obviously who live in California. But this year is going to be a 2-day event, so
yeah,
it's more worth traveling. Last year for one day, it's a little bit different.
right.
So, but it's going to be 2 days. It's going to be lots of fun. There are going to be a lot of Q&As as
Lots.
well, where you can
Both
actually
days.
ask questions. You can bring, the questions that you have about your animals. You can get input from all the different, vets and other speakers, and the vets and the speakers that you have are amazing. Barry Sands, Katie Kangas, Katie Woodley, um, Rita Hogan, what's
Billy Hookman.
Billy Hookman,
Julianne Lee is going to
a
be
shark
there.
apparently,
Yeah, yeah,
Julianne Lee, and then all the vendors too. I mean, they have so much knowledge as well in their own field,
right.
and then you share with other people, and I don't know, the support, the feeling of support there was just so amazing.
Yeah,
And
it's going to
yeah,
be
Allison
cool.
was there. It was great to see you, Allison. I'm sad to hear that you're not coming this year.
Oh,
Um,
can't make it again this
oh yeah,
year.
the two
It's
crazy
great.
cat
We went last
ladies are
year.
going to be there. I
Some
mean,
crazy cat ladies.
talk about
Yeah,
love. I mean, these guys are like so full of love and appreciation,
yeah,
and joy, and I mean, it's just such an uplifting event. I mean, I wouldn't want to miss it for the world.
yeah. Uh,
So yeah,
anyway. All
yeah.
right, guys. Well, I don't want to keep you late. I know you're in Chicago, so it's 8 o'clock at night for you. So we're going to let Dr. Suter go, but we're hoping, honestly, like Dee, for example, I know Dee from Facebook, but I've never met Dee. I would love to have you out there, Dee. And there's lots of people that we see online that, come out, let's talk, let's meet, it's going to be really great. So, but we're going to go ahead and let Dr. Suter, thank you so much for being here tonight, talking to us and helping us understand a little bit more about your topic, and then answering all of these wonderful questions for everybody is super important. And then Lori is behind the scenes, so I always want to thank Lori as well. She's the one typing all that information for you guys, because I would not be able to do it. I can't multitask like that. But I will see you soon. I'm going to see you in Super Zoo actually in a couple of weeks, so that'll be really fun. So, right? Are you going to Super
Zoo? Yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, in 3 weeks. Yeah. So I'll see you in Super Zoo pretty soon.
I'll see you there. Yeah, and anyone who's going to be at Super Zoo, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll be at the animal biome booth. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to stop by. I'll see you. I'll see you.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you soon. Take care, Dr. Suter. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you as well, and you too. And see you soon.
Thanks. Yep. See you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.